Hello, everybody. We are back with Awaken the Voice. Last time you heard us talk about awakening and spirituality, and this week we are speaking about something that I feel is very common in today's society and often very judged and misconstrued and all of these things. And I'm so excited to introduce Voice 13 to you because not only has she inspired me, she's educated me on mental illness, and she's lovely. It's hot in here.
Yeah.
Yep. It's so hot. It is. It's hot. It's not summer here in Australia yet, but it's getting there. And she's just lovely. And I think she'll have such beautiful insight for our teens, our women and our men, our parents, just everyone in general. So thank you, Voice 13. How do you feel?
I'm nervous, but nobody knows who I am unless I tell them. So.
Yeah, yes. Well, and that's the thing. Every single time it seems that I've asked how everybody is, they say they're nervous. So why are you nervous? Especially since no one knows who you are. So why are you still nervous?
Well, I want to go into a career that I'll be helping people with mental illnesses and mental health. And you kind of have to be free of mental illness yourself. And, you can't experience mental illness, but the career that I want to go into, it's going to help me that I have suffered these issues for the past 5-6 years. Well, that's been diagnosed, but I've suffered from anxiety my whole life. I was an anxious child, but I can't really talk about mental illness myself. I have to put a barrier up. I can't post on Facebook or Instagram.
Why?
Because background checks. I can't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So does that stop people from giving you a job if you have mental illness, or?
You can't have been in a psychiatric hospital for 2 years, which I've never been in one.
Okay.
And don't plan on, but they want you to be kind of clean and healthy yourself. They don't want someone struggling to help the struggling.
Doesn't everybody struggle, though?
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I feel like, and sometimes I don't even think it has to have a name on it. I think we're, especially in this day and age, we always need to put something on it.
Yeah.
Autism,
Labels.
Anxiety, labels. I feel like these labels and brands are actually going to be the death of our society if we're not careful.
And once you've got a label, you need to go to therapy or take medication, which is, there's nothing wrong with, but, there's so many paths and you don't need to have a label. But, because once I got labelled with my mental illness, it was kind of like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. I thought, I've got a mental illness, and I thought, we know how to work on, but, it's not just anxiety or depression, it's borderline personality disorder, and it'll always be there. And with BPD, it's a mental illness that doesn't work well with medication. You need to do years of talk therapy, dialectical behaviour therapy. So it's a very hard mental illness to deal with. With bipolar and schizophrenia, medication is one of the biggest tools.
Yeah.
And
do you feel like medicine has helped you?
Yes and no. I was put on antidepressants when I was 12.
Wow.
By the public hospital system, which was scary, and I was scared of putting on weight, which I didn't at the time. It did help at the time, but after being on those medications for 5 years and increasing the dose, I felt I had come to a point of it stopped working.
Yes.
I became immune to it, and so I got put on Seroquel, which just made me a zombie, and I slept all day, and I got more depressed. And then I recently went on a new antidepressant called Cymbalta.
Yeah. And
it's helping, but
it's still,
every time I take my medication at night, it's kind of like a kick in the guts.
Yeah.
You think, why do I have to take this?
So with that being said, because I feel like, especially in this day and age, there's a lot of teenagers on those medications now because it's so easy. Do you feel like sometimes things are misdiagnosed? Like, some kids may be low or feeling, or do you feel like young kids? Because I feel like when I was young, which wasn't, it was a while ago now, but yeah, it was a good 15 so years. But I feel like autism, mental illness, all of these things were not necessarily things that were diagnosed so quickly. It was like, oh, she's just being Abby.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. But I feel now it's like if a child acts a certain way or if you act a certain way, it automatically means there's something quote unquote wrong. Do you believe that? Or
Definitely. And these days, psychiatrists and doctors and mental health professionals, they sometimes forget to take into account situational things. Like, you know, you might have had a pet die, family member die, change school, change jobs, you know, come out of a relationship, and you might be feeling depressed or anxious because of that. You might not have depression or a mental illness. You know, you might have changed your medications and you might be having a psychotic episode, but that doesn't mean you have psychosis.
Yes.
I think...
So why do you think that gets diagnosed so much? Because I feel like, especially being in Gympie, I feel like every child I see has autism.
Yeah. I think the doctors and the professionals just want to put a label on it because they think, okay, well, if you're on the autism spectrum, you can go on this medication, you can go to this talk therapist, and you're cured. Whereas that's really not the problem. Sorry, that's not the answer. Yeah.
So what would you say to parents, like parents that are struggling with maybe their kids having mental illness, or they think they have it, or think they have autism, or they're just freaking out because they're on Google every fucking day?
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to them?
Self-diagnosis is really terrible. I went through years of that, and I'm a hypochondriac 100%, so I, you know, think I'm dying every second day. But getting diagnosed, it's good, but it's bad. It has its pros and cons. It really depends on the child, the parent, the situation. Like, if this has been happening for years or months, or, you know, you think it's a real problem, definitely get them diagnosed or talk to professionals. But I think get a couple of opinions. Don't just go to one doctor. That was my issue. I went to one in the public system. I went to the same psychiatrist for years, and he just said I had anxiety.
Wow.
And I recently, this year, I saw a private psychiatrist, and I got diagnosed with a few different things, and that makes so much sense. So it's helped me, but like I said, it's also like...
But that was several people. So it's like... But see, that's where I get confused with doctors. Are doctors all trained under the same thing? So why are different doctors saying different things? That's the thing that I get so confused about.
It's hard because doctors, you know, you can get diagnosed by a general practitioner, just at, you know, your local clinic, or you can get diagnosed by a psychiatrist. Even some psychologists and counsellors can have abilities to kind of diagnose.
Okay.
But, you know, general practitioners aren't going to have as much training in psychiatry as a psychiatrist would. And it really depends on the doctor, because you might have had a doctor that's fresh out of university, or a doctor that's been practicing for 30 years that's old-fashioned.
Yes.
Like, my granddad is a general practitioner, and he does not believe in mental illness one bit.
But that's what I mean. I feel like back in the day, doctors that I had, they didn't believe in that shit.
Yeah.
They're just like, your kid's being rowdy,
Yeah.
your kid's being this and that. I feel like there definitely were less labels. And I think because of the internet and so much accessible to everybody now, I feel like we're living in a world of fear.
Yeah, definitely.
And do you feel like that has happened to you, that you live in a world of just being diagnosed and not really knowing your identity when it comes to mental illness?
Yeah, it's hard because, you know, they say you're not your illness, but you constantly feel like it constantly sits in the back of the head. Like, I might do something, or a situation might occur, and I think, oh, you know, it's because of my mental illness.
Yes.
You know, it's not because I'm just being myself.
Yeah, in one of the voices, we spoke of autism, and it was exactly that. Like, you are not autism. You're just yourself. And not... Because I feel like, do you carry that? Do you wake up every day with that feeling?
Yeah. And especially when things, you know, like when I go to therapy, or I take my medication, or I have to talk about it in some sense, or something arises that's kind of related to my mental illness. And it's really hard, you know. A lot of people say you're not your illness. It's just a part of you. It's not who I am. It's a part of who I am. Like, you know, some people might be iron deficient. That doesn't define who they are. It's just a part.
What would you tell teenage girls, teenage boys, women, men, parents? What would you like to share about yourself, what you've learned about mental illness that may give them even some hope? Because I feel like this is such a, like, deep scary, fearful subject. Where is the hope of mental illness that you can share?
It's so scary. Like, I myself have suffered, you know, from suicidal tendencies. I've tried to take my own life 2 or 3 times now. And, you know, I have ended up with some, you know, kidney issues. I have some heart problems because of those. But, like, things haven't gotten better completely for me, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I can see myself in 5 years, in 2 years, you know, getting better. Like, I've made so much progress. I've learned so much about the brain, mental illness, you know.
And what do you do for fun? What helps? What helps with coping with mental illness, do you think? What do you recommend people do?
Just talk about it. Don't
talk about it.
Hide it. You know, obviously some people don't believe in it and don't get discouraged by that. I have a lot of family and friends who don't believe in it. They say it's literally in your head. And I say, well, it is in my head. You know, it's
literally
not in your arm.
Yeah, it's literally in my head. Yeah.
But a lot of people, because mental illness and mental health is almost trendy these days.
That's the best word for it. Trendy, exactly.
And if you don't have it, you're on the outside.
Yeah, and you want it. It's like, I got to find out how, but it's not that. And I feel like with a lot of kids too, it's like cool to be sad or cool to be this. And it's like, no, you just need to remember it's cool to just be.
No, it's not cool to have, you know, and people who really suffer from it, like myself, we get frustrated with people who, you know, diagnose themselves or pretend they have all these terrible things.
Yeah. That would be so hard to observe.
Yeah, and it's hard because then that, you know, leads on to doctors then not knowing who to believe and who not to believe.
Completely, yeah.
And that's why misdiagnoses come in. You know, you might be put on a medication that's not right for you. You know, and mental illness, mental health is really damn expensive.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be. Yeah.
Like, any parent or any person who's ever been to therapy, taken medication, been to hospital, you know, it's so expensive. And, like, coming from a single parent, like, it's been a real struggle to get, you know, private psychiatrists. So I definitely think try to seek private where you can.
Okay.
Because
seek private.
The government
can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else that is on your heart that you would want to share? Any love for young kids, especially that may be suffering, that wake up every morning maybe wanting to die or not thinking that they're good enough? Do you have anything for them?
I recently had a breakthrough with myself, and I thought, you know, some family stuff happened, and I thought, you know, some days I do want to die, I don't want to be here. But I thought, you know what's worse than being dead is, you know, like, life may be hard, but if you're dead, you're never going to experience anything. Like, your life just ended on that sad note. And that's how people are going to remember you, as a sad person. Whereas if you live, you fight, you know, you do everything you can to get yourself better. You're going to teach others, you're going to inspire others, you know.
Yes.
You never know who you're helping. Like, so many people have helped me that have suffered from mental illness. And, you know, I hope that
you're helping them right now.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
But yeah, it gets better, and nothing is so bad that should make you want to die. And I know that's hypocritical because I do feel suicidal at times, but when I'm in a good place, I know that it's hard, but life is worth living.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Voice 13.
That's it.
You're so beautiful, and you're so...
so sweaty right now.
Yeah, I know, it's hot. I keep seeing you, and I'm like, no one can see you but me. I think this topic is so difficult, and I think you're right. I even feel that I don't understand it a lot of the time. You know?
I don't myself understand it sometimes too. You know, I can just... my own struggles.
Yeah.
But everyone is so different. Nothing is the same.
Nothing's the same. And no human's the same, and I think we forget that.
Yep.
None of us are the same for any topic, regardless of what it is. Like, we're not the same, and I think the importance of this particular podcast and what we do here is that we want to give you guys a voice, you know, so to speak about it, which is what you said. If you feel like you're suffering from it and maybe someone's not listening to you, someone will. Reach out to a helpline, reach out to supports, reach out to Facebook groups that now are so many different groups
and
that help other people.
If you are struggling with money, there is so many free services like Beyond Blue.
Yes.
There's Headspace at Maroochydore. They've got them in Brisbane. There's
everywhere, all over the world. No matter where you are, there's somewhere that can help you. So never feel like you're alone, and
Yes.
just always know that you're supported. And if you're having a bad day and this keeps coming up for you, turn on this particular podcast and just listen to it. And
It's
just
a
remember,
bad day, not a
it's a
bad
bad
life.
day. Ooh, it's a bad day, not a bad life. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, my love. Thank you, thank you. And thank you all for listening. We are at Voice 13, Voice 14 coming to you soon. We love you. Thank you so much. We will see you next time. Or not see you. Well, you'll hear us next time. Thank you. Bye.